This salad that we're preparing here is a classic salad, Caesar salad with some simple ingredients. We're going to take you through it in a few different stages. We're going to make our dressing, wash our salad leaves, and then we'll shallow fry our croutons and our bacon. So the ingredients that we have there is 1 egg yolk, some white wine vinegar, a couple of different kinds of oil. We've got a little bit of vegetable oil, a little bit of olive oil, just for some flavour in there. Lemon juice, grated parmesan, shaved parmesan. In here we have a little bit of Worcestershire sauce and some Tabasco, anchovies, garlic that we're going to grate on our microplane, and our bacon, croutons. So this is our dressing for our Caesar salad. We have an egg yolk in here and our vinegar. Just mix those together. If you've got an assistant at home, family member or a housemate to help you, just get them involved, because when we start to add the oils, we need to add them slowly, and it's good to have an assistant so you can hold the bowl and whisk at the same time. You'll see that we have it sitting inside a saucepan here with the towel. That helps prevent it moving if you don't have an assistant. I've got Chef Claire here with me, who's going to assist and help me to slowly incorporate the oil. It's important at the start that we just dribble the oil in very slowly to help build the emulsion. If you add it too quickly, your sauce will split and then you'll need to start the emulsion over again. So we're going to...
So Chef Rohan, why is it we're putting vinegar in there?
The acidity will help to form the emulsion with the oil. It will help bind it together. If you don't have the acidity in there, that won't form the emulsion. We want this to come together. As with all dressings, with our vinaigrettes as well, we want the acidity in first and then add the oil or the fat to it. So I might just ask Chef Claire to start. I'll hold if she can start drizzling in a little bit of the oil.
So it's important we give that a really good mix prior to any oil going in, is that correct?
It is, yeah. Mix it well. Let the vinegar sit in there for maybe 20 to 30 seconds. Give it a good whisk. Help make that emulsion nice and thick and bound.
Chef Claire's got a nice steady stream. That's quite important, isn't it?
It is, just slowly, steadily. Later on, when the dressing is a little bit thicker, you can add a little bit quicker, but at the start, really important to get that nice emulsion started. So we're adding the vegetable oil. It doesn't matter whether you add the vegetable oil or olive oil first, but you can already see that we've got a bound dressing there, so it's nice and emulsified. We're going to continue to add the olive oil. You may not use all of it. We'll probably stop about halfway through, have a taste, see that we've got the correct amount of acidity and fat in there, and the flavours are right.
Because we are only doing one portion of salad, aren't we, Rohan? So it's better just to make enough.
That's correct.
In a commercial setting, you could use a benchtop mixer, couldn't you?
A little bit more, yes, you could. And that'll probably do us. Have a taste test. Thank you, Chef. You just get a tasting spoon. Remember to practice good hygiene even at home. Okay, we've got a little bit of acidity there. It's a good mix of acidity and flavour from the oils. Probably add your vegetable oil first. The olive oil is very strong, so if you don't need all the oils, the olive oil can overpower it if you put too much in. So we've got our basic mayonnaise there. Next we're going to add the other ingredients that make it a Caesar dressing. So I've got a little bit more acidity here with the lemon juice. Just a small squeeze. You can have that pre-squeezed as well. Just have it ready for you at home. A little bit of garlic, microplane, or you can crush a little bit into your board at home if you don't have a microplane. I think this is a good one to buy for you as chefs. You're going to use it for lots and lots of techniques in the kitchen, lots of preparation techniques. So a small amount of garlic. Just scrape it off at the back there. I'll add a little bit more. This is quite a large clove of garlic. So a small clove of garlic or half of a large one. Next I'm adding my Worcestershire sauce and Tabasco. I'll get Chef Claire to slowly add that in for me. A little bit more. Okay, that should do it. A little bit of grated Parmesan. I think your recipe calls for about 40 grams there. Maybe we just put a small, half that amount, and then we can taste. It's important to taste this dressing. Make sure you've got an even balance of all the different components. I've also got some anchovy here. I'm going to chop very finely and add to the dressing. Just cut them in half. Finally shred them up. Remember that anchovies are quite salty and they're quite full in flavour. So don't overuse them. But anchovy is typical in this dish, so it needs to be present. And we'll just check the seasoning. You can put a little bit of pepper in there, and even a little bit of salt. Some table salt.
So, Chef, how should a Caesar dressing really sort of taste?
It should have the acidity from the vinegar and the lemon. It should have a cheesy taste as well from the Parmesan. I'm going to add a little bit more there. And it should have the body from the anchovies and the Worcestershire sauce. So it should have almost that umami flavour of the saltiness and goodness from the Parmesans, the Worcestershire and the anchovies.
So, Chef, there's a lot of history behind this dish. What can the students do to look into that?
I think when they're submitting photos for their journal entries for this dish, they should do a little bit of research of the product, find out who invented it, how it got its name and its location where it was invented. Add that to your photos when you're submitting your journal entry.
Okay, so it's quite an interesting story. It's amazing how one idea can go so far. It's now worldwide famous. So it's good for you to do that little bit of research, have that little bit of knowledge.
So that's all for our dressing. We're going to set that aside and we'll come back and we'll prepare our salad and our shallow fried components, the croutons and bacon. This is our cos lettuce that we have. Sometimes when you're going to get the cos lettuce at home, you're going to get probably all the exterior leaves there. Sometimes they can be a little bit old, they can be a little bit damaged, so we take off the outer leaves and discard them. We should be left with the nice fresh inside leaves here. These are still perfectly okay for use. Just take out the root piece here, discard it. You can break the leaves down into smaller pieces like this. We're after bite-sized pieces of the cos. You'll find that the inner hearts here are all reasonably sized to be able to be torn. You can simply tear them like this into bite-sized pieces, or if you're using it a la minute or at the last minute, you can also cut the cos leaves. But if you're doing that ahead of time, you can start to bruise and to damage the leaves. So just make sure they're into nice bite-sized pieces. I'm using the fresh hearts here. They're nice and crisp, nice and crunchy, and have almost a sweet flavour as well.
So Rohan, it's in amongst that base that you find a lot of the soil, isn't it? So that's where you need to be quite particular about washing them.
You may find some bugs. I don't know whether you can see here, but even I've just got in there, you can see that at one stage there was probably a bug in there. So just make sure you get right into there and you inspect the leaves quite well to make sure that there's no bugs or there's no damaged pieces. So be quite particular. Again, I found another little piece there that's damaged. If you serve that, the customer's obviously going to think that the lettuce that you're using is not very fresh. Alright, so I have enough there for my Caesar salad. This one you can save for later use in other preparations, other salads. I've got it in some nice chilled cold water there, and I have a colander ready. If at home you have a salad spinner, please use a salad spinner to drain it. If not, you can use a colander. Normally I'd allow those lettuce leaves. I've seen a larger piece there. I'm just going to break that down. I'd leave those to soak or to chill in the refrigerator for 10 or 15 minutes. Make sure any soil or any impurities inside the lettuce have come out. So we're going to leave it here to drain for another 10 minutes, and then we might need to drain those with a little bit of paper towel as well if you don't have a salad spinner. That's all the preparation for the lettuce. Next we're going to make the salad and combine the ingredients. Here we have our bread cut into macédoine. We're looking about probably 7 by 7 mils there. And then we have our bacon cut into lardons. First we're going to do our croutons in a little bit of ghee, which is basically clarified butter. And we need to have really, really good heat control here. If you have the heat too high, you're going to burn the croutons. If it's too low, you're going to get all the croutons soaked with ghee. So just test the piece. You should see a small amount of bubbles coming out of the croutons. So it's safe to say we're ready to add the remaining croutons. You want them a light golden colour. Have some absorbent paper or a clean chucks ready. Because when these start to colour, when they're golden, they will continue to overcook. So we need to be quick taking them out of the ghee and get them to start cooling and draining very quickly.
So a lot of patience required here and attention, isn't there, Rohan?
Absolutely. You shouldn't walk away. You shouldn't attempt to cook them at too high a heat because it's just going to start to burn. It's also important to keep turning the product because you want the base and the top to cook at the same time.
We don't want to be tossing this pan, do we, Rohan?
No, hot fat will go all over you. It'll make a mess in your kitchen, but also from a safety perspective, you don't want it to come up over your hands. I'm using a slotted spoon here, so when I turn it, the fat is coming straight back down onto the product. And you might be able to see there, we're starting to get a little bit of a golden colour. There's some smoke coming around the edge of the pan, which is an indication that the pan's starting to get a little bit hot. Just take it off the heat, turn your heat down a little bit, and then you can go back on. And now we're starting to get a nice even golden colour on our croutons. We can remove those from the heat and start to drain them. Alright, please be careful, you're working with hot fat. Okay, so we're going to use this same pan. I have a bowl here for draining off my ghee. A warm pan. We're going to straight back on the heat. Allow it to heat up a little bit again, and then we're going to add our bacon lardons in to get a nice golden colour to those also. So the heat can go up a little bit higher. We don't need a lot of fat left in the pan because there's quite a lot of fat left in the bacon as well. You can use a non-stick pan if you have it at home. Again, test your pan to see that it's nice and hot. I can hear the sizzle there. So turning these, allow them to get a little bit of colour and then keep turning them so they don't stick and overcook.
This process will take quite some time to get them nice and crispy, won't it, Rohan? And again,
you want all that fat to come out of the product. Again, you don't want to be leaving the pan. Be patient, as we suggested before. Be patient.
So at home, Rohan, the students really must make sure they have their extractor fan from on off when they're cooking, really, especially with the tuna before and now the lardons.
That's correct. You don't want to set off any smoke alarms at home, and both those cooking processes, the one we're doing here and the tuna, do emit a bit of smoke. So. As you can see, it's taking a while. It might take 2 to 3 minutes. But the longer you leave them, get them nice and crunchy without burning, adds a good texture and a good flavour to your dish. Just going to turn the heat down a little bit there, it's getting a bit too hot. start to see a nice little bit of colouring happening there. Alright, that's almost there. You could do these also in the oven if you wanted, if you've got it on for something else at home at the time. Turn that off. And allow these to drain as well. Alright, so we're just going to allow those products to cool a little bit, and we'll assemble the rest of the salad. So now we've got all our preparations ready for the salad. It's time to dress it and plate it. So we have our croutons here. We're going to put about 3/4 of them in. Likewise with our bacon. Some of our anchovies, as we've done previously in other menu items, just finely shredded, about 3/4 of those also. Some remainder of your grated parmesan and some of your dressing.
So with the dressing, Rohan, we need to go lighter rather than heavier, because you can always add, but you can't take away. Isn't that correct?
That's correct. And one other thing I forgot to mention, it's really, really important at this stage to have your salad leaves very, very dry, because if they've got a lot of moisture in there and they're wet, they're going to dilute the dressing and the dressing won't stick to the salad leaves. So just add lightly the amount of Cesar dressing, stir them with your tongs. I might actually put just a little bit more Parmesan cheese in there.
So we're making sure we use tongs here.
Yeah, always practice good hygiene techniques, especially with a salad like this when the dressing's so wet. Keep your hands out of the product. Use the tongs. I'm looking at that. It can probably do with just a little bit more dressing. You should have a nice coating of all the salad leaves there. The dressing is a big part of this salad as well. All right, you'll see that the croutons and the bacon will fall a little bit to the bottom of the bowl. That's okay. As long as we've got some in the base of the salad. Try and build height here. Do a little piece at a time. Okay, I keep plating into the middle of the dish, trying to get that height, trying to make it look presentable.
So it's important here, Rohan, as well. We're only doing one portion. We may not need all our ingredients. We don't want to really be thinking about overfilling the bowl or the plate.
No, that's correct. We should have it nice and centered. That's about enough for one portion. We have a few of our little bacon pieces, crispy bacon left. Some of our croutons, and we've got some shaved parmesan here. Also, if you've got fresh parmesan in a block, you can just use a microplane to grate it over, or you can even use a vegetable peeler to peel some fresh parmesan over. I'm just going to add a little bit more dressing here, just to help with presentation. And then some of our shaved parmesan. That's it. That's our Cesar salad. Oh, some spring onions as well I have here.
So spring onions aren't really a classical ingredient, but we're just using that for a little bit of garnish.
Good to practice your knife skills. Adds a little bit of crunch, a little bit of texture also to the finished product. So there we go. We will have a little bit of dressing left over perhaps, which you can keep in the fridge for a couple of days that you can use for other salads. We're going to make a Thai chicken salad here. It's quite a simple salad, but there's some things we need to be aware of. We really need to focus on ensuring that we toast our coconuts and we toast our peanuts, but we need to show quite a lot of care. We need to focus on the pan and make sure we don't overcook them, because it will destroy our dish if we overcook them. So we're now going to start with our with our first item, our chopped peanuts. Over a medium heat. Might take a couple of minutes for it to start getting a little bit of a golden colour. We also need to have a large bowl on hand to take these straight out of the pan, because if we leave them in the hot pan, they'll continue to cook and we will burn our nuts if we're not careful. So you just move them, keep them over
This is
the heat.
something, Rohan, that the kids really need to focus on and stay with the pan, because it's something that can burn in an instant. So we probably recommend that you do this without trying to do any of the jobs at the same time. Focus on getting these nuts and coconut nicely toasted, and then you can move to assembling your salad.
So I've got it over a reasonably high heat here, but I'm not moving. I'm staying here, and also, as I said, I have my large salad bowl there ready to take them out to stop the cooking quite quickly. So already I can see the difference in the pan here, that the nuts are starting to release a little bit of their oil and they're sticking to the pan just ever so slightly. So that's an indication the pan's getting hot and they're starting to colour, they're starting to get that toasted flavour that we're after. So you'll see it as well when you're heating it, they'll start to clump together a little bit. The smell will change also, you'll start to smell the flavour coming out of the nuts. You can see the colour changing. We're almost there. I'm just going to wait for a tiny little bit more colour. And that's about enough for our nuts. You can take it straight into your salad bowl. Wipe out your pan, straight into the same hot pan. You can put your coconut. The coconut's really going to start colouring quite quickly. There's a little bit of sugars in here as well that you'll see will start to, and straight away going into that hot pan I can smell it. You really need to focus, have a look at your coconut. I can see the pan starting to smoke a little bit already, so I'm going to take it off the heat and continue cooking it off the heat. See how quickly that colouring's coming in the coconut? And I'll take that off now and I'll just put that straight into my salad bowl. Okay. So that's our first technique of the toasting of the nuts. Please be extremely careful to watch your pan. Don't get distracted by other preparations. Really focus on this one. We're going to prepare the main body of our salad now. So we have some carrots here that have already been peeled and washed, and the same with our cucumber, it's been peeled. So we're after a nice ribbon. You can use your vegetable peeler. Concentrate on getting it nice and even all the way through. We can go around until we get down to the seeds, and we can move to the next section. Okay, so we have nice ribbons, quite quick and easy to prepare. We'll do the same with our carrot. Focus on being nice and consistent. Just want to see the quantity there. Another few strips of carrot. Good. Now we're going to move on to our coriander. So our coriander with some of the stalks kept intact. We're going to use that for our dressing. We'll use all the stalks for the dressing and all the leaves for our salad. So you can just pick those out like this, reserving your stalks. Just pick through your coriander, make sure the quality's good. So the coriander and the mint in this recipe's got a beautiful fresh flavour to it. So don't be shy. Give it plenty of herbs. Make sure you wash all your coriander and mint prior to picking. Then we have some bean sprouts. Add those in. Some snow pea sprouts. So just make sure that when you prepare them, you take off the base. They've been cut previously from the farm. We just need to take that off. Sprinkle those in there. In your work surface. Then we need to get some lime. So the best way to prepare the lime, you can take the stalk out, kaffir lime leaves. Got a beautiful fresh flavour, quite a unique flavour. So just roll them up, just use the heel of your knife to shred them very finely. So the finer the better. I've got 2 large leaves there, that should be enough. Very, very strong, so make sure you chop it finely. That's the main body of our salad. We can add now our coconut, our toasted nuts. We'll just leave that. We now need to prepare our dressing and cook our chicken. Now we're going to prepare our Thai dressing for our salad. With all Thai dressings, they're always looking for a balance of the sweetness, sourness, and saltiness. So we've got a little bit of fish sauce there to help us with the saltiness, a little bit of palm sugar for sweetness. We've got some beautiful aromats, lime zest. This lime zest will give it a beautiful, vibrant flavour. So we've got to get it all into a mortar and pestle. If you don't have a mortar and pestle at home, you can finely chop your ingredients and mix it through in a mixing bowl. I've got some chilli here. Depending on how hot you want the dressing, you could leave some of the seeds in if you like. So I'm just chopping it finely, just so everything in the dressing here blends at the same speed. Okay, so just diced it. A little bit of lemongrass. If you have a microplane, you could use this. That'll help to really, really finely shred your lemongrass. It's got a beautiful flavour, lemongrass, but if you have large chunks of it, it's very, very overpowering and unpleasant to eat. So I'm about a quarter of a stick of lemongrass here. The outer leaves have been removed and we're just looking at the fine heart in here. So I've got some palm sugar here, which I'm also going to grate into the dressing. A clove of garlic and a little bit of lime zest. So we can use our microplane again, using the lime zest. All beautiful fresh flavours. So I've used the zest of half a lime. We can always adjust that at the end if we decide we want more. Just pound your ingredients. All our coriander stalks that we reserved from our salad earlier is in here as well. Now we're going to add a little bit of the fish sauce. Some of my lime juice. So I'll put 1 lime in to start with. Scrape this down from your bowl.
So Rohan, if this is too strong, we can always add a little bit of oil in there, can't we? Just to lighten it.
We could put a little bit of oil in there, yes, that'll take away the strong flavours. But we should be okay with the ingredients we have, we just need to make sure it's balanced. For me, that's a little bit salty. The acidity is good. It's a little bit salty. So a bit more palm sugar. The heat from the chili is nice. A little bit of extra sugar helped. Now you can taste the saltiness, sweetness, and the acidity as well. So we'll just leave that to stand. Before we dress the salad, we'll check the components of the dressing again and make sure we're happy with it. Now we're going to cook the chicken. This is a technique we used earlier on for our tuna nishbar as well. We're just adding a small amount of oil to the protein rather than to the grill. A little bit of salt. Make sure our grill is very, very hot. You could pan fry it or you could barbecue it at home also. So a little bit of salt. Remember, there's a surface side and an underside. We're going to put it down on the surface side. Get a nice grill mark on there. We've got a nice high heat to start with. We're just going to lower the heat a little bit because we're going to be cooking for probably the next 7 to 8 minutes on a low to moderate heat. Make sure you turn your extraction fan on at home. This will get quite smoky as you cook. Okay, so our chicken's just finished cooking. It's just on a low heat here. It's been resting for about 7 or 8 minutes. Probably cooked for about 10 minutes in duration. So moving it over to a clean board. We can now start to think about dressing our salad. So we've got that beautiful dressing that we made earlier. So I'm going to add about 3/4 of that dressing, and then I'll reserve a little bit for putting over at the end. I'm just going to slice my chicken. Depending on the size of your chicken thigh, to about 4 or 5 pieces. So it's well rested, not too much juice coming out of it. I'll toss all my salad ingredients together. I'm just looking to build a little bit of height in the salad. Place your chicken in the middle. And then the remaining dressing. A few more of the crushed nuts. And you could serve it with a little bit more lime. I'm happy with the dressing there. It's got a nice acidity to it. Could have a little bit of extra lime or a little bit of extra chili.